moment of silent prayer, please. Thank you, and Happy New Year, everybody. First item on the agenda are public comments. You have 3 minutes. You can speak, and you can also speak on any agenda item. If you would give your name and address for the record, it would be greatly appreciated. Are there any public comments? Hearing none, we have the consent agenda, which is the minutes of the December 21st work session and regular meeting. There was a few corrections, statements and checks, and the treasurer's report for December of 2021.
So move.
Motion to approve, Gerald Rowe. Support, Eldridge. Are there questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 5 is attorney report. Is there any general legal update, Mr. Winter?
Nothing more than what I've already covered. I did have a few more things about on my list here, but I think it's good.
I know you and Mr. McLean has been very busy already with court and.
Yeah, we've had quite a few, I think that even with the lieutenant in the audience tonight, we've had quite a few cases that have already come to our attention in regards to padlock cases. We've had some other serious public nuisance cases that have come across our desk. Again, it's a constant battle to try and hold people accountable for their behavior, especially with a drug house that can have such a negative impact upon the neighborhood. And one particular one where you get people coming in all hours of the day and night for short periods of time, it's just so disruptive. And so, again, I'm really grateful to the Sheriff's Department and Shane, Lieutenant, for reassembling the CAT team and partnering with LawNet and doing all the things you're doing to really try and get guns off the street and as well as the drugs. So it's been a busy start.
Thank you. Any questions? Under new business, we have the first reading of Resolution 2022-00, is that 00? 03. It's a proposed ordinance for our amendment to adopt the entire township zoning ordinance and map. And we'll have a presentation on that. Did you want to do the resolution first?
Yeah.
Clerk Rowe?
All right, I have Resolution 2022-03, resolution amending and readopting the entire township zoning ordinance and map in reference to ordinance 2022-498. Whereas the township zoning ordinance must be updated from time to time to adapt to changing needs of the community or to comply with newly adopted legislation. Whereas the zoning ordinance and map amendments implement the goals and objectives of the 2040 Ypsilanti Township Master Plan's future land use plan. And whereas the Charter Township of Ypsilanti Planning Commission has recommended amendments to the Charter Township of Ypsilanti zoning ordinance and map to update the entire zoning ordinance. And whereas the Charter Township of Ypsilanti Planning Commission held a public hearing pursuant to MCL 125.3306 on November 23, 2021. Whereas the Charter Township of Ypsilanti Planning Commission recommended adoption on January 11, 2022 to update the entire zoning ordinance and map by resolution of recommendation. And whereas the proposed amendments are consistent with the policies of the township, whereas the Charter Township of Ypsilanti Board of Trustees has decided to adopt the entire township zoning ordinance and map, now therefore it be resolved the Charter Township of Ypsilanti Board of Trustees hereby adopts the zoning ordinance and map, updating the entire zoning ordinance and map attached hereto. I would so move the resolution.
Support Peterson.
We have a motion and support, and now we're going to have a presentation from Jason, our planning director, and Ben Carlisle, I think it's right, Ben, who's our planning consultants.
Good evening, Township Board. Jason Icoangeli, the Township's Planning Director. Thanks for having me this evening. Before you this evening is the first reading of the Township's updated zoning ordinance. Like the resolution that was just read by Clerk Rowe, the zoning ordinance rewrite or update and map update are basically the Township's effort to implement the Ypsilanti Township 2040 Master Plan and the future land use map that master plan put forward. That master plan was the result of many hours of community engagement throughout the township to get the community's input on the future of the township for the next 20 years. And whereas the master plan sort of sets forth the goals and objectives for the community, the zoning ordinance is the teeth or the law that basically gets that plan brought to fruition. So the new zoning ordinance adopts policies that are friendly to developers as well as our residents. It'll be a user-friendly document that's much easier to use than what's currently available on our MuniCode website. It allows people to easily identify what uses and rights that they have with their private property and should be a useful tool for both our residents and the development community. And then importantly, just as important as all of those efforts, the zoning ordinance addresses all of the legal matters that would pertain to our local law. And when I say that, I mean Supreme Court cases that may regulate signage, as well as state laws that may regulate land use planning. This zoning ordinance brings all of our laws with regard to zoning into compliance with both state and federal law. This process, just a brief timeline, which I know you're aware of, so I don't want to belabor it, but this process started in 2019 and was interrupted by the pandemic and eagerly started back in 2021. Most recently, the Township Planning Commission, just before Thanksgiving, held a public hearing in order to get comments from the public. That was a pretty large task. The township made an effort to reach anyone who was going to have a zoning change with a letter letting them know of that meeting, and then also work sessions that they could come to have questions answered, which isn't required by law, but just shows you the lengths at which the township is willing to go to make sure that our residents and business community are informed of what we're doing. And then after that, the Planning Commission did not take action at that public hearing, but asked for revisions to take place based on the comments received from the public and the business community, and I can go over some of those with you this evening briefly. But then on January 11th, which was just last Tuesday, the Planning Commission, through a resolution of recommendation, recommended the adoption of the zoning ordinance by the Township Board of Trustees, and I believe that resolution may have been included in your packet. So again, I won't take too much time to go over sort of this, but on this slide you can see both the current zoning map and the proposed zoning map, and the biggest takeaway from that is Carlisle Wortman has done a really good job of consolidating all of the districts into more meaningful ones that are easily translatable to people. It gets rid of almost 5 industrial districts and 4 multiple family districts and breaks them down into what are easily identifiable. So instead of having RM1, RM2, RM3, RM4, which to the average person doesn't really mean a whole lot, now our multiple family districts are called low, medium, and high density, which are, when you hear that, you can kind of understand better just alone by the name of it, sort of what it entails. And so it also does a good job of consolidating districts and making it more user-friendly. And so this process will also include the adoption of that map, as well as all of these changes that we've gone through with you folks, including the agricultural overlay, which the township does not had in the past, which will help to preserve our agricultural districts, but then also give opportunities to folks who do have agriculture to provide different types of tourism, including tasting rooms and corn mazes, and making it easier for people to sell products on their property. Like I just mentioned, elimination and renaming of the RM districts to be more user-friendly. Some of the districts that are going to be going away are the R01 office district, B1 and B2 districts that will now be form-based. We eliminated the P1 parking district, which was an antiquated part of the zoning ordinance that just allowed for surface parking that we don't feel there's a need for anymore. And then reconsolidation in the naming of the I districts. The ordinance, makes IRO and I1 into IT, which is innovation technology. It amalgamates I-2 and I-3 into LM, which is light manufacturing. And the IC district is going to stay the same. However, it's expanded to include a number of high-tech uses, green infrastructure, and other manufacturing and creative business uses that aren't otherwise there currently. And then again, the formation of these form-based districts, which takes a look at the form of a building and how it relates to the size of a parcel, and not just on a case-by-case using a standard set of rules for an entire area. So in this slide here, you'll see these different color codes for all these different parcels, and the zoning is basically based on the lot size and then what's envisioned to fit on those lots. So it'll make for a more human scale, pedestrian-friendly, vehicular-friendly corridors in our community, including Packard and E-Course, Washtenaw Avenue, Michigan Avenue, and then the town center area, which is just nearby here along Huron, and parts of Stony Creek Road and Whitaker. And then just to go over some of the zoning text, again, this implements the master plan. It makes it easier to use for all of our residents, updates it to current law, includes best practices and documentation of current procedures, and provides tools to ensure quality develop in our township for years to come. And then I'll turn it over to Mr. Carlisle, but these next slides just kind of bring you up to speed on some of the changes that were made since the last board work session, including comments that were heard by the public and the business community as a part of the public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Eckelangeli. Good evening, Board. My name is Ben Carlisle, Wortman Associates. It was our pleasure to work with the township, both in the update to the master plan as well as a comprehensive update to the zoning ordinance. Jason gave an excellent background and presentation, but I want to say that this process really started before you started adopting or changing the zoning ordinance. We did this through the master plan, really. A lot of the foundation of these changes were based on the master plan, and that started even 2 years before the zoning ordinance. So while it's been a long time coming, it's been a really engaged process and a really thoughtful process as well. I would actually say this is, from a comprehensive rewrite of a zoning ordinance, this may be the smoothest process that's ever been. Not the shortest by far, but the smoothest in terms of overcoming issues, engaging the public, hearing their feedback, and making those changes based on what you heard. So these are the changes since the board last had their work session. But before that, we had made a number of changes working with your development team, public, and the planning commission to get to that point. The first change was we did update the text. We did another round of edits just to check proofreading, spelling errors, etc. I can't guarantee we caught every single one, but I think we caught most of them, if not a majority of all of them. In consultation with your council, there's been a lot of moving changes with sign regulations based on some Supreme Court decisions. And so we have updated the sign ordinance to be in compliance with the current Supreme Court regulations in both all the zoning districts, but specifically the form-based districts. And lastly, at the public hearing, we had a few members that were own property in some of the form-based districts. They expressed a couple concerns about their particular property. We went back, listened to them, considered their changes, and made those recommended changes based upon their requests. And so that also went to the Planning Commission, and they made those changes as well. So everything you have in front of you tonight was considered by the Planning Commission January 11th, is that the date? They recommended unanimously to this board for adoption. I think that. So there's two steps when you adopt a new ordinance. The first, you are required by state law to have 2 readings. This is the first reading tonight. If the board moves this on to a second reading, your second reading would be heard at your meeting in February. And then if adopted, unless you place a longer time period on adoption, they typically, you would come into, it would take 7 days for it to come to be officially adopted. So that's the process. So hopefully by early March, we have the zoning ordinance in place. I know a lot of people are waiting on it because there are some changes that they're looking forward to. And so with that, Ms. Stumbo, I'm open to any questions, and Jason and I are open to any questions from the board.
Questions or comments from board members?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Trustee Wilson?
I just want to say this is a very extensive process, and I'm just proud that you guys put in the due diligence to listen to all parties involved, including Megan, who's not here. But you guys did a great job, and I think I really like everything that's been put together. And actually, to Jason, it makes sense now why I may have been talking about one particular topic of zoning, the use over in the IC district. And you said, well, just wait, because everything's probably going to change. Now I see what you mean, that everything pretty much has changed now. It didn't need to be addressed then. It needs to be addressed now that once we finally finalize it. So I appreciate that insight, and that's why we try to have the best staff, the experts lead us in the right direction. So I appreciate that.
Thank you, Trustee Wilson. Other comment?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I would just like to say, first of all, thank you, Jason, Ben, and especially Megan as well. And I just wanted to especially thank you for your comment about, it hasn't been the shortest process, and we know that, like, we make jokes about it all the time now, like, oh, we're going to get it done by so-and-so, but that process, while it might have taken a long time, it was done really thoroughly, and that way it was able to be a smooth process where we incorporated so many voices from our community, and I think that taking that principle, trying it in this way in our zoning rewrite was a great move for the township. And I know that our township recently has, been a little criticized for not moving quickly on engagement processes over the ARPA funds. But I think this is a perfect example of why if you just take your time and really do a thorough job of the process, it turns out really well in the end. So thank you. And I also, at least the couple changes that I had provided, I double checked and they were all great. So I appreciate you taking the time to make those small edits.
Other comments?
Yes, I have a question. The people, the residences that you needed to rezone or reclassify, are they on board with the changes?
So I want to be just reiterate, there were no changes to residential zone property. If you're zone residential single family, you remain single family. You're zone multifamily, you stay multifamily. So there's been no changes to residential property rezoning. What we did rezone in this process was the corridors with regards to commercial uses. We were very explicit with that, with what we were doing, and we sent out letters to every single property owner that was being proposed for rezoning. We had one, we had a public hearing. Two, we had a number of office hours and phone numbers where they can call and ask questions. I was here for one day, and I think we had two or others. We had people coming in fairly frequently during that process. When it came to the public hearing, that was held before the public hearing. When it came to the public hearing, there were about 3 or 4 residents or property owners that spoke at the public hearing. 3 of them were folks that had changes to their specific property in those districts that we ended up amending as part of the process. So I think in the end, we listened to everyone's voice, heard everyone's voice, and as far as I can remember, I don't think there's one single person that has come out and has been opposed to anything in the ordinance itself.
And so it hasn't resulted in more money for the residences if you had to reclassify? Because I remember one residence asking me if it would result.
That's a good question, Trustee Newman, and the answer to that too is, and we asked Brian McCleary, the township's deputy assessor, this very question: would the rezoning of people's property result in higher taxes? And the answer is absolutely not. Okay. So the tax assessment that's done on a given piece of property is based on the real improvement made to the property, including houses or barns or buildings or office buildings, and they assess it based on the value of those improvements.
Yeah.
If it's a vacant piece of property or just a single family home, it gets assessed on the home's value, not what it's zoned. So the underlying zoning does not reflect on your tax assessment at all. Okay. And then also to answer your question, there were a handful of residents that we talked to that did come in to these meetings that we had in the office that were sort of upset at the letters that they received, but after they talked to staff and we walked them through it and explained it to them at the end, they were very comfortable with it And a lot of them walked away very happy and satisfied with the answers that they received. So, and to date, we don't have any folks that have been left, kind of left holding the bag, wondering, what's going to happen to them or something like that. So,
Right.
yeah, we're very pleased with that
So
outcome.
everything pretty much stays the same, it's just reclassified.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like Ben had mentioned, the single-family districts and multiple-family districts haven't changed at all. It's just the ones that were commercially designated or industrial uses that have changed.
Yeah.
But again, that it doesn't have any bearings whatsoever on what how they'll be taxed.
Okay, that's good. All right, thank you.
Yes.
Any other comment? There was one gentleman that did come in or called, and he was multiple, but it was 2.5 acres. So it was just changing them with their current use. So there was a couple on Forest Avenue that this happened to, and I did get one call, but I do know that sending letters to individuals to let them know and being available for office hours is a great way to allow access to the planning department and the changes that were going on. So that was a great way of really doing community engagement, either by email, by phone, or in person. They could do it. So I thank you guys for that process as well. Megan, previously, I think it was in November, did a presentation to the board about a lot of the proposed changes and the marijuana districts, but we're calling it, what are we calling, something, I can't.
Industrial Revitalization District?
Yes, yeah, and that's, to me, is another main opportunity or change that came out of discussions, with the Planning Commission and the Township Board.
Absolutely. Yeah, trying to get an economic spark for the area near and around Willow Run Airport to get new investment.
Yeah.
Not just through marijuana uses, but other uses as well. And I think that, we've already have a new materials manufacturer, Hercules Materials, trying to build
Yeah.
a plant there. And I think that there'll be others that want to locate there due to, its close connection to Wired Road, US 12 and I-94. It's a desirable area, and it just needed more uses put into the basket per se to get people interested in it. So I think that in years to come, that property will redevelop because
And
it's
it's-
underutilized and it's just open for someone to go and do something development-wise there.
Yeah,
So
I'm looking forward to that because we've had other airport, Jason and I went on a tour, Willow Run Airport with a prospective developer to locate there. And, people do want to be, the location is what you hear, and that's a great location to have businesses and access in and out. So I have not read the entire ordinance page by page. Megan did sit down with us, and Ben, I think you attended one of the meetings, but the Planning Commission process is great, and their input was great too. And there's a few other issues, like Jimmy said, that are still out there, but we can't address everything in one.
yeah, and there's and
We can't address everything that
Yeah.
comes up. Yeah.
And the beauty of the zoning ordinances is we can amend it. So
Right.
we can, if there's any issues that come up, just like in the past, there's a process of amending the zoning ordinance to make changes. So we
Yeah,
can
and
certainly do that.
This is a major rehaul. It's not just, our little updates that we do every 5 years and 10 years we've done them. This is a major rehaul, and I think it's outstanding. And Megan is top-notch and done an excellent job representing and talking to customers and talking to us about the process as well. So thank you for all your efforts and the Planning Commission. And I can't believe we might be here for the first reading. And if there's additional changes, we still have the second reading. So that's another opportunity if board members want to read it even more and find something. But I think the Planning Commission did a good job on addressing some of those issues too.
Can I just take up one more second of your time, Madam Supervisor?
Sure.
I'm not sure if I'll be back for the second reading because my more important colleague Megan may come to the second reading, but I want to just say that I want to thank your own staff, especially Jason Icoangeli, who has been tremendous through this process. I don't think we'd be here today without his help and support, or at least we'd probably be another year behind here. And so he's been tremendous, and also your township attorneys have been invaluable in the review and the comment. Started with Ms. King, and then it's worked all the way through Denny, and now to Doug. So they've been tremendous. And lastly, I want to thank you all. You've put a lot of work in this too. This has been a collaborative effort, and so it's been a lot of work. But I really want to personally recognize Jason because he's done such a great job. Thanks.
All right, thank you very much. Good job. So, Mr. Winters, do you have any comments? Are you comfortable with us proceeding with the first reading?
Yeah, I believe you have covered it pretty well tonight as to the first reading, and there may be some minor tweaks the next second reading, but right now I think you can go forward with adoption of the first resolution, or the reading, number one.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion by Gerald Rowe, and it is supported by Gloria, to approve the first reading of Resolution 2022-03, proposed ordinance 2022-498, to amend and readopt the entire township zoning ordinance and map. Is it a roll call vote because it's an ordinance? Wilson?
Yes.
Aldridge?
Yes.
Stumbo votes yes. Gerald Rowe?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
Newman?
Yes.
Swanson?
Yes.
The motion is approved, and so is the first reading. Number 2 is a request to appoint Clerk Heather Gerald Rowe, Trustee Gloria Peterson, and Trustee Debbie Swanson to the Ypsilanti Township American Rescue Plan Act ARPA Committee.
Move to approve.
Support.
Motion motion Trustee Wilson, support Treasurer Eldridge. We discussed this at length at the work session. Are there any questions or comment? Thank you for everyone agreeing to proceed, and we're all in it together, so you're not alone. We have a motion support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 2 is a request to designate funds, if received, from A. Jansen opiate settlement to Washtenaw County.
So moved.
Support.
Go ahead.
Motion
Jimmy, sir.
Eldridge. Support
Jimmy.
Jim Wilson. And the memo, the numbers weren't exactly correct, and when we get a final number, we will let you guys know and update everyone on if the county has agreed to coordinate this effort with us, so.
And the memo was updated.
Pardon me?
The memo was updated in the package as well.
Thank you. Questions or comments on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 4 is a request to purchase masks for Ypsilanti Township residents for the prevention of COVID-19.
Support, or so move.
Support.
Motion Gerald Rowe, support Eldridge. Is there discussion on this? At the work session, we talked about coordinating with other entities to make sure we're not overlapping, and I think we're going to need masks for a long time, and this will make them available in a coordinated distribution throughout the township for everyone. We have a motion support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 5 is a request to purchase COVID-19 test kits for distribution to Ypsi Township residents.
Move to approve.
Support.
Motion Jimmy Wilson, support Treasurer Eldridge. Discussion?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to make note that I had thought about it after we covered this in the work session, but I talked to Mike Saarinen that if possible, because I noticed that we had a couple of quotes like Walmart, and me being a union guy, I would be remiss to say, attempt to get from companies that are a little more union friendly. However, I did tell them, don't let this hold things up, because I know the supply is scarce, so just make the attempt. But if you have to get them from Walmart, then that's what we have to do, because we got to get them to the people. So that was all. I just wanted to make that comment, that I did tell him to make the attempt. That's all.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any other comment? We have a motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 6 is Resolution 2022-01, which is a owner's dam safety program. Clerk Gerald Rowe.
I have resolution number 2022-01, the Owner's Dam Safety Program, or ODSP. Whereas the Charter Township of Ypsilanti in Washtenaw County, Michigan, currently holding a license with the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, FERC, to operate the Ford Lake Hydroelectric Project, number 5,334, and whereas the FERC requires the Charter Township of Ypsilanti to develop, implement, fund, and continue to support the ODSP per the FERC guideline for the project until such a time that the Charter Township of Ypsilanti releases ownership or the project is no longer under the jurisdiction of FERC, and whereas the ODSP document clearly defines the responsibility for the Charter Township of Ypsilanti and its employees and consultants, and whereas the purpose of this resolution is not new to the Charter Township of Ypsilanti, but rather a rededication to dam safety and the responsibilities that come along with owning the project. And whereas by the action of this document, the Charter Township of Ypsilanti is showing the commitment to the FERC to operate a safe project, prioritizing safety over any other goals. And now therefore it be resolved that the Charter Township of Ypsilanti Board of Trustees acknowledges the owner dam safety program to maintain compliance with the FERC and define the role of the Charter Township of Ypsilanti related to this project. I would so move the resolution.
Motion Gerald Rowe, support Swanson to approve the resolution. This is an annual resolution that we have to do, and I'm sorry that my Saren left because he does an excellent job on our hydro station. It is so pristine and so well taken care of, and it generates actual revenue and helps with the environment. And so we're proud to have a well-run hydro station in Ypsi Township, and it's historical, and I can't wait to have tours if COVID ever ends, but he does a great job for the community. We have a motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 7 is Resolution 2022-02, which is non-motorized pedestrian crossing on Huron Street over I-94. Clerk Rowe?
I have resolution number 2022-02, the non-motorized pedestrian crossing on Huron Street over I-94. Whereas the Charter Township of Ypsilanti in Washtenaw County, Michigan supports safe non-motorized transportation and safe access to recreation opportunities for people of all abilities and incomes. And whereas the need for a safe crossover Interstate 94 at Huron Street for pedestrians and bicyclists was identified as a priority project over 20 years ago and is now incorporated into the township's non-motorized transportation plan as a key connecting point. And whereas the Charter Township of Ypsilanti is hereby making a financial commitment to the project in the amount of $120,000 TAP grant matching funds in cash and/or force account, and whereas the Charter Township of Ypsilanti is also making a financial commitment to the project in the amount of $98,900 to convert the box span traffic signals to mass arms that are black coded and include one sign, and now therefore it be resolved that the Charter Township of Ypsilanti hereby accepts this resolution. I would so move the resolution.
Motion Gerald Rowe.
Support Peterson.
Motion Gerald Rowe, support Peterson. Is there questions or comments on this? This project is going to also be, which has been in the making for over 20 years, so allow a safe traverse over the bridge. And right now, people are walking right down the middle of it, and it's not safe, but this will make it pedestrian, non-motorized friendly, and also make it look nicer with lighting. Lighting is going to be part of it as well, which will come back to the board. And then we're going to take it it goes over from the city and it goes to James L. Hart. And then we're going to go south to Huron River Drive. There is path there currently, and we'll bring that back to the next meeting. But in order to have a non-motorized path all the way to the grocery store, which would be helpful for a lot of people, as well as people who like to bike and walk and enjoy non-motorized transportation. So that's coming back. It will help with the AAATA stop that's currently in front of the Marriott Hotel. It's awful. There's no pavement there when it's raining, and so AATA would not put in a bus shelter unless there was a ADA compliant walkway and connection. So this project will also help with that. So going to be good news all the way around for the corridor. All right. We have a motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 8 is your request to approve the contract with Issue Media Group for 2022 in the amount of $12,000, which is budgeted.
So move.
Support. Support.
Motion Gerald Rowe, support Eldridge. Sorry.
All right.
To approve the contract, we had a presentation in the work session it's a digital media newsworthy paper, and it's all positive. They don't, the headlines are not negative like it is in the MLive and other newspapers about our community. So we've partnered with them for a while, and this will continue with that partnership. And if people have ideas on, stories, just let them know or let me know or us know, and we can send it to them. We have a motion support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 9 is budget amendment number 1. Clerk Rowe? Gerald Rowe?
I have a motion to amend the 2022 budget amendment number 1. Move to increase the bike sidewalk rec road fund budget by $263,698 to $2,242,410 and approve the department line item changes as outlined. Move to increase the recreation fund by $3,500 to $712,400 and approve the department line item changes as outlined. And move to create a new expenditure line and approve the department line transfer as outlined for the CARES Act fund. I would so move the budget amendment.
Motion Gerald Rowe, support Eldridge to approve the budget amendment. Are there questions or comments on it? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Under authorization and bids, number 1, we have the request to seek quotes for annual playground mulch installation, and this will come back to the board.
So move.
Support.
Gerald Rowe, support Trustee Wilson to approve seeking quotes for playground mulch. The playgrounds that were identified in the memo were Apple Ridge Park, Harris Road, West Willow, Sugarbrook, Lakeview, Loon Feather, Ford Lake Park, and Ford Heritage Park. It's a total of 389 cubic yards. We have a motion support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item is a request to seek quotes for the annual sidewalk repair program.
So moved.
Support Peterson.
Motion Eldridge, support Peterson to approve going out to seek quotes and bringing them back to the Township Board for approval. And we started doing annual sidewalk repairs. What year did the law change, Doug? And we started actually identifying if it's a safety hazard, we mark it, and then we make sure that it's within that 2-inch rule.
Well, it's come back and forth over the years in regards to the actual law. So it started about 20-some years ago with doing the sidewalk repair and replacement. So it's gone from 2-inch rule to open and obvious, and to where it's become part of our staple every year to try and identify those bad sections of sidewalk. Because quite frankly, some of the worst injuries we would see would be kids on the bicycles hitting that grade of sidewalk that was not even, or even a lot of our people would be walking out there and tripping over the sidewalk. So it became a very, very strong program that really reduced the township's liability on sidewalk cases. So we really accomplished 2 things. You eliminated the liability, you reduced it, and you also made a safer, improved sidewalks for people to use.
And so we encourage people, and they do, a lot of people every year report any sidewalks that are uneven that need repaired. And so we bid it out, and then this is how we get the work done. It's one of our annual things.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I just see one typo in the RFP, and I will work with Hoffmeister to fix that before we post it.
Would you like to tell us?
Oh, sure. My email is spelled wrong.
Okay.
So they need to be able to email me. It's on page 592. I'll let him know.
Oh, okay. We have a motion support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 3 is request to seek quotes for the annual sidewalk replacement. So that first one's for the repair, this is for replacement.
So moved.
Support.
Motion Eldridge, support Gerald Rowe. Questions or comments? All right, it will also come back to the board. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 4 is request to seek quotes for the annual tree trimming and removal program.
So move.
Support.
Motion Gerald Rowe, support trustee Wilson to approve the quotes, and it will be brought back to the board. A lot of times, the sidewalks also are heaved up because of roots. So they go in and actually cut the roots, and that allows the sidewalk to go back down as well. But this also includes tree trimming and whatnot in our parks and township property. We have a motion support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 5 is a request to seek proposals for qualifications for a website revamp consulting firm and a website content strategist.
So move.
Support.
Gerald Rowe,
Support.
support Wilson. I agree, we need to revamp the website, and I know everyone's working on that in conjunction with what the marketing. So there's a lot of balls in the air that has to go with this, but I'm glad that we need, based on residents as well, we need to update our website to make it a little more user-friendly and easier to find things. It's important, and this will be brought back to the board as well. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There's no other business. Are there other board member updates?
Yes, Madam Chair, just real quick. I know we had been talking about coordinating with, different federal funds that are coming in with all the different entities that are receiving money. And it's been discussed many times about Ypsi Community Schools and what are they doing. And this was a couple months ago, I kind of stayed on the superintendent and the board president on what are you guys doing, and I finally did receive, what their plans were, so I'll forward this over to everyone if you don't have it already, but one of the uses, they said, was paying down operational debt, and in this memo here, it talks about Willow Run, and I said, so my next question was, is this going to affect our Willow Run residents' property taxes. But, of course,
Can't pay debt, yeah.
unfortunately, this is a response from their finance director. Unfortunately, we cannot use federal funds to pay off the millage debt. I didn't realize that it was two different things. The good news is we will be able to pay off the operational debt, which will allow us to use these funds for our students and staff. So, on one hand, I wish we could have, helped out our residents in Willow Run to help relieve some of the taxes. The good part, though, for Trustee Swanson, maybe your union can get you guys some more wages, because I know you guys do such a great job with those children, and you deserve to be paid well. So that was my only update there.
All right, thank you. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Support?
Oh, Madam Chair. Get a resident.
It's not public comment, but.
I don't know, he just raised his hand.
Tad, is it?
Could I make a quick little statement? Would that be in order or not?
It's not in order, but that's okay.
I appreciate that. I didn't think about this way. I just wanted to say
Could you
congratulations.
give your name and?
Oh, Tad Weiser, 610 North Miami. And just wanted to say congratulations and thank you to Trustees Swanson, Peterson, and Gerald Rowe for stepping up to be a part of the long process of deciding on the ARPA funding, and just as we all keep learning about the restrictions and the really wonderful potential, this once-in-a-lifetime potential we've got to make sure that that we make decisions that raise up every single resident of the township. But just I wanted to say thanks for being willing to do that.
Thank you. We had a motion and support to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 7:50.